So welcome back everyone to our new series, Exclusive Insights, the cars of the Mercedes-Benz Museum. My name is Pádraig Ullanachain and I'll be your guide again for this episode. I hope you realize what we mean with exclusive. Quite simply, Mercedes-Benz in its collection has more than 1,000 cars, trucks, buses. In the museum, the Mercedes-Benz Museum, we have space for 160. And while these vehicles are in our museum, there's a simple rule that applies to everyone. Don't touch. Nobody is allowed to touch the cars, the buses, the trucks. Only 2 people are allowed to touch them. The 2 experts who have to keep these vehicles in pristine condition for all of our visitors, removing all fingerprints, all dust. There's a 3rd person who also allowed to touch the cars. He's our curator. His name's Benny. And hi, Benny. Look at this.
Holding your breath still. Just sit and wait till you see me fly. You know they'll never catch me for it. See me fly. The way I put my finger on it. See me fly. You got it, then try to tell me you got the wrong guy.
The Gullwing AMG SLS was initially launched in 2009, or presented to the world in 2009, with a naturally aspirated V8 engine. It was the first vehicle designed and built by AMG. Everybody was electrified. This car was so sexy with its gull-wing doors, reminding everybody of the legendary 300 SL Gullwing from 1954. In 2011, AMG electrified their Gullwing. And that's what we have here. 750 horsepower, 1,000 Newton meters torque. It was the fastest and most powerful electric vehicle on the road at the time. In conventional electric vehicles that we know today, many have just one electric motor up front to power the 2 wheels. Some have 2 electric motors, one at the front, one at the back. Here we have 1 electric motor, each with 188 horsepower for each wheel. That's 4 electric motors, giving you this 750 horsepower. With 1 motor for each wheel, that means you can convert the torque or adjust the torque for each wheel individually depending on your situation. Let's have a look at one of those motors. On the outside, lots of similarities, but that's where it ends. You see lots of carbon covered, no engine. Each wheel has an electric motor. You won't be able to see all of the wheels and all of the motors, but here we can see 1 motor for the front right wheel, 188 horsepower. The museum, as I mentioned earlier, has space for 160 cars, trucks, buses. They're sorted into 2 different categories along 2 passages. One passage, the vehicles are sorted chronologically and the others thematically. Here we're in Legend Room 6. And here we're showing the vehicles of the future, built today to test the technology of tomorrow or the day after tomorrow. In 1981, our engineers built 3 of these, testing different drive technologies. For example, a V8 petrol engine, a V6 turbo diesel and gas turbine, looking for more efficient drive forms of mobility. The world's first vehicle with fuel cell technology was built by our engineers in 1994. All the technology needed to drive this vehicle filled the cargo space behind the driver. In 2010, it was ready for production, and with the B-Class F-Cell, this was the first serious vehicle with fuel cell technology. And this particular one was one of 3 B-Class that we sent around the world to prove its reliability. With the SLS electric drive AMG engineers, along with their colleagues in Brixworth, were testing ways of putting Formula One technology into passenger cars. In 2015, with the concept IAA, our engineers were again testing more ways of improving fuel efficiency, reducing air resistance. For example here, no exterior mirrors, no door handles, and the profiles of the hubcaps would change depending on the speed of the vehicle. Like I mentioned earlier, our engineers testing today the technology for tomorrow. But let's go back now to our SLS electric drive. And now we'll have a look inside. Opening these gull-wing doors is such a cool thing. And then falling into the bucket seats. Just have to get the door down. Wow, what a feeling. That's what I like about all AMG vehicles. And with the AMG SLS, with the V8 engine in it, when you turned on the engine by pushing the power button, you got a noise like boom, boom. Starting the electric drive, when you pushed the button, all you got was nothing. Silence. Nothing. That's not very sexy. So AMG decided to compensate for this by introducing its E-sound. So through 11 speakers in this vehicle, you heard the corresponding sound of a naturally aspirated engine. Vroom, vroom, vroom. Slight compensation. While we're sitting here, let me explain what the AMG logo stands for. A, Mr. Aufrecht. M, Mr. Melcher. Two engineers quit their job at Mercedes-Benz plant here in Untertürkheim to tune Mercedes engines. G is where they set up their business, Groß Asbach. In the logo, you'll see the laurel wreaths of success based on the Benz logo. The name of the town where they have their headquarters is called Affalterbach. The German word Affalterbach, it's an old German word, means apple tree on a stream. And that's why we have a stream here under an apple tree on the left side of the logo. Erhard Melcher, one of the co-founders, he was the guy who really knew his stuff. And his favorite parts in getting more dynamic out of a Mercedes engine was the camshaft, which you'll see here to the right, that's the circle, and the valves. And with the camshaft, of course, you can change the dynamics of the valves. Okay, one thing I shouldn't forget is that in June 2013, the SLS electric drive broke the lap record at the Nürburgring, doing the lap in 7 minutes 56 seconds. That was the fastest electric production vehicle at the time. Wow, what a car. The AMG SLS electric drive. As you can see, it's ridiculously expensive. It's the fastest electric car on the roads in 2011, but getting in and out is not very elegant. Next week, I'll show you a Mercedes-Benz car where elegance is written in capital. I hope you liked this episode of Exclusive Insights, the cars in the Mercedes-Benz Museum. Please join me next week. Goodbye.
Do all you can do. See me fly, you know they'll never catch me for it.